Okay, we're in Revelations 19 and 19. Revelation 19 and 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army, right? So we know Revelation 19:11, it says, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, right? Pure righteous power, like horsepower, pure righteous power. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. This is a Mashiach Yahushua. But he ain't coming back as a man. He coming in his angelic power. And in righteousness, he does judge and make war. So it said in righteousness, he does judge and make war, right? So we know that he said in verse 15, out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, right? So in righteousness, he does judge and make war. So we got to go to what this righteousness is. Go back to Deuteronomy 6:25. All praise the Most High. I'm right there. And it shall come, and it shall be our righteousness. This is righteousness. If we observe to do all these commandments before the Most High, our power, as he hath commanded us. So in righteousness, according to the commandments of the Most High, according to the laws of the Most High, I know y'all don't like to hear that word law, so I got to rub it in. According to the laws and the commandments of the Most High, you're going to be judged. That's why he's saying. In Revelation 19:11, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. This is Mashiach Yahushua, coming back in his angelic power. And in righteousness, according to the laws and the commandments of the Most High, we just read the definition of why you could be righteous. He does judge and make war. So when you see that rod of iron, that's how you're going to rule them, with a rod of iron, by the laws of the Most High. Point blank. You see? Understand this. Understand this. So Revelation 19 and 19 says, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies. So the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, the Catholic Church, and all these religions that's dealing with bringing the falsehood of this Bible, that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive, not dead, but alive, into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. See, and the remnant of them that's were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse. The remnant of them gonna be slain with the sword by Mashiach Yahushua, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. See that? We have a great feast for all the birds. Happened to us. I mean, come on, don't get it twisted. Real quick, go to 2nd Ezra, 13th chapter. We prophesying, y'all. 2nd Ezra, 13th chapter. We can start at verse 1. And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. So we see in a dream. Ezra's having a dream. Most High gave him a dream. Remember the Most High said in the dream, Most High speak once, say twice, man perceive it not. In Job 33 and 14 down, in the dream and the vision of the night, he bring forth this, his power. So it says, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof, right? In the sea. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. We didn't get the thousands of heaven. Let's get the thousands of heaven. That's them angels. Go to Revelation 9:16. How many was of his army, in his army? And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard a number of them. That's 200 million angels. That's why it's saying, see how it correlates? Just listen to the story. And understand, overstand, go along with me. And I beheld, and lo, 2 Amos 13:3, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, 200 million angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that was seen under him. You understand this, because I said it. Let me prove it. Come back like no man. Let's go to Isaiah. Wow, that spirit. All praise the Most High. Isaiah 47:3. When you turn the pages and go right there. Isaiah 47:3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, meaning you're going to be exposed for all the wickedness and the things that you've done that are sinful. Thy shame shall be seen. Men with men, women with women. All the things that are shameful that you've done going to be seen. I will take vengeance. He said, I'm going to take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. So he coming with his angelic power. That's what we're reading about here. So look, 2 Amos 13:3 say, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, remember he told us in Revelation 19:15, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, and that with it he shall smite or kill the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. That's in righteousness, the commandments of the Most High, the laws of the Most High, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of almighty power. So here we are now in the Apocrypha, getting the same thing. 2 Amos 13, verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. Like as the fire filleth when it filleth the fire. Like fire burning this earth up. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men. Remember what it said. Revelation 19:19. Just showing you how it all fits together. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies. Doing what? Gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Here we are here, reading about the same thing. We're going to read about the conclusion of it. Just like it was conclusion here, it's going to be the same conclusion. 2 Amos 13, verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven, from the four corners of the earth. All these nations are joined together. When it comes down to fighting the Mashiach Yahushua, preparing themselves now to prepare to sustain themselves as long as they can. But they're preparing to fight on Mashiach Yahushua. Hear what it says? From the four winds of the heaven. That's the four corners of the earth. To subdue the man that came out of the sea. To subdue a Mashiach Yahushua that's coming out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain and flew up upon it, Salakia. But I would have seen the region, he could have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not, because it's not a mountain as such. Because it represents the 12 tribes of Israel, that 1/3 of us that's going to be redeemed. If it's Most High will, if it's me, if it's you. After this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid. They're going to be very afraid. And yet does fight. Hear that? Yet they're going to fight. We prophesying tonight, y'all. They're going to be afraid. The Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Forces of all these nations joined together to fight. Like they got all these movies, Independence Day, and all these different movies that show something that's coming from the fourth dimension, coming here They call them UFOs and unidentified flying objects, make mockery of the angels, having them with big heads like outer limits and all that stuff, and gray people and all that stuff, man. You better understand. You heard the angels got what? Clean white linen on. They show that? No. And you want to see what you want? Let's look at an angel. Let's so you know, so you won't be misled by any means necessary that they try and mislead you. Go to Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. Let's look at an angel. How the angels look. Better ask somebody. Look at verse 7. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, because they had like a mitten, had a toe, and then you had other toes covered up, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Burnt brass. Isn't that the same way as Mashiach look? In Revelation 1:15. Let's see. Wasn't he dark like that? And they describe him the same way as his feet. And his feet, because Revelation 1:1 says, revealing the revelation of a Mashiach Yahushua. So verse 15 says, and his feet like unto fine brass, right? As if they burned in a furnace. There it is. So the angels the same way. You see? Ezekiel 1:7, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like a sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color. So color is in the Bible of burnished brass. Dark-skinned angels. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue on our quest of looking at prophecies. Look. Let's go to back to 2nd Ezra 13. 2nd Ezra 13. And verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid. And yet does fight. They're going to be afraid, but they're going to fight. Because they're in the orders, right? The Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Air Force of all these nations coming together to fight on Mashiach Messiah. Listen, verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Remember, out of his mouth. Revelation 19:15, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. So this is what he's saying. Verse 10, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth. The sharp sword is this, as it had been a blast of fire, that sharp sword. And out of his lips a flaming breath, that sharp sword. And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, that sharp sword. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, the army, the navy, the marines, the air forces of all these nations, which were prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, Ezra said, when he saw this, I was afraid. He said this in a dream. So when he saw this, it scared him. Man. Isaiah 30 and 27. Isaiah 30 and 27. That's why I say a lot of this is prophecy. Behold, the name of the Most High cometh from far, burning with his anger. Burning with his anger. And the burden thereof is heavy. His lips are full of indignation. Out of his mouth comes a sharp sword. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue as a devouring fire. And his breath, as an overflowing stream, shall reach to the midst of the neck, all the way up to their neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity, meaning nothing. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. Hear that? He gonna just like he put that bridle in the jaws of the Russians to lead them, to guide them in the way he wants them to go. He gonna put a bridle in the jaws of the people to cause them to what? Err. Remember what they said? I mean, don't take a rocket science to figure this out. All you that's been listening and been reading, studying prophecies and the things that I brought forth, look at Wisdom Solomon 5 and 7, what they're gonna say. They say, we rid ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yeah, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way, but as for the way of the Most High and the Mashiach, we have not known it. You hear that? As for the way of the Most High and the Mashiach, we have not known it. Therefore, when you see how the Most High is saying, see how this fit together when he say, hey, he causing them to err. He gonna cause them to err from the way of the Most High. That's why the Mashiach would say, hey, you're in error, not knowing what? The scriptures. As for the way of the Most High, the Mashiach, that's when all this go down. And they see the salvation of Yasharallah coming, they're going to say this. When you read Wisdom Solomon 5th chapter, the 2nd verse on down. This is what they're going to say. This is what they say. When they see it, when they see a man, they say, then shall a righteous man stand in great boldness in the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation so far beyond all they look for. So when you see that, that's when you get to verse 7, that's what they're going to be saying. All from 3 on down, that's what they're saying. When they see the salvation coming to the Israelites. So let's say he's going to cause them to err. Hear what he said in Isaiah 30 and 28? And his breath and an overflowing stream shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity. Hear that? Sift the nation with the sieve of vanity. That's why they're going to say. That's why they're going to say. Go to Jeremiah 16, 19. That's what they're going to be saying. Vanity, right? Jeremiah 16, 19. Oh, Most High, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth. Well, we talk about the last days. And shall say, surely our fathers have inherited what? Lies. And what else? Vanity. That same vanity he's talking about. Causing them to err, right? Vanity. Including 2/3 of our people. The children of Israel. Because they Gentiles too. What they say? You're an Israelite. No, I'm a Gentile. Ain't that what they say? Part of our family members. Still Gentiles. You tell them they're Israelites. You go through all this here, they still going to believe their own way. Or the way that the enemy and the haters of the Most High have taught them to believe. Don't get it twisted. Our wickedness surpass the wickedness or surpass the wickedness of the wicked. We taught the wicked ones our ways, so don't get it twisted now. We're talking about us too, the Israelites and the nations. Most High, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentile, that don't sound like love to me. The day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, as he just said, and things wherein there is no profit. That's what Most High said. What? He going to cause them to err. Going back to Isaiah 30 and 28. And his breath as an overflowing stream. We just read he gonna melt these nations. He gonna burn them all up. Ain't gonna be nothing but dust and smell of smoke. Overflowing stream shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity, as we just read. They're going to say that. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. Hear that? That's why they say, as for the way of the Most High, the Mashiach, we have not known it. Ye shall have a song as in the night, when a holy solemnity is kept, and gladness of heart, gladness of the mind, as when one goeth with a pipe to come into the mountain of the Most High, to the mighty one of Israel. And the Most High shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lighting down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. For through the voice of the Most High shall, excuse me, that's all I wanted right there. That's verse 30. I want to stop right there. Now, now we can continue. For through the voice of the Most High shall the Assyrian be beaten down, which smote with a rod. Talk about our captives being in Assyrians. He gonna get them. Remember, they was part of the enemies and the haters of the Most High that we read in Psalms, the 83rd chapter. It's a lot. And in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which the Most High shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of shaking will he fight with it. For Tufeth is ordained of old, for the king it is prepared. He have made it deep and large. The power thereof is fire and much wood. Fire and much wood. That's the people that's going to be burning up. Fire and much wood. The breath of the Most High like a stream of brimstone does kindle it. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Does kindle it. Salah. Excuse me. Don't sound like a lot of love to me. It's not the Most High bringing it. And when he bring it, where you going to be at? You got an opportunity now. That's why, I'm crying out to our people to come back to him before it's too late. Look, go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, verse 20. I think I have it. Okay. His severe wrath shall be sharpened for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. Warfare. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, up in the clouds, up in the air, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark. Only thing we can think of right now is these missiles. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow. So he's bringing hailstones full of wrath as they were held out from a stone bow. And the water of the sea shall rage against them. Got to fight the elements right here. Hailstones, no telling how big they're going to be. The sea going to raise up against them. The water of the sea shall rage against them, and the flood shall cruelly drown them. The flood's going to cruelly drown them. Prophecy, y'all. Yeah. A mighty wind, like a tornado, like a hurricane, shall stand up against them. We talk about all the things that Mashiach Shai said he's going to do. They got to deal with these elements too. You know what it say? Yeah, a mighty wind, like a tornado, like a hurricane, like you ain't never seen before, shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. You've been wicked, so therefore you draw wickedness to you. You've been evil, therefore you're going to draw evil to you. The wrath of the Most High. He's been long suffering, but oh, that time is drawing near. That's why I look at Zechariah. 13 and 8. Zechariah 13 and 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Most High, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. 2 parts. That's 2/3. You hear us saying the 2/3 all the time. This is where it's coming from. 2 parts shall be cut off and die, but the 3rd part shall be left therein. So 1/3 going to be saved and redeemed. And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire. That fire is the word of the Most High. And affliction. And will refine them as silver is refined. So you've been refined. Those that are not rebellious and want to come do it their own way, hey, more power to you. Because he chastens who he loves, he chastens who does wrong. So you're going to get it any way you go. So you ain't going to see the kingdom. You say refine them as silver is refined. I don't understand why people would want to know more about what it is like we're going over now and what will allow you to be part of this 1/3. To be refined. What does it take to make it to the kingdom? Don't wait till the missiles come. Don't wait till it's too late then. If you ain't fulfilled in Job, the 5th chapter, and the 19th verse down, or 2nd Ezra 2:26, or Psalm 91st verse, since the 91st chapter down, 1 down, if you ain't within the realm of being delivered in 7 troubles, you can be part of the 2/3. But he will refine the 1/3 as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Most High is my power. You see? But he tell you, it shall come to pass that in all the land, all we've been scattered in all 4 corners of the earth, Yasharallah, said the Most High, 2 parts, 2/3 thereof shall be cut off and die. Why they gonna die? Why he said, look, Amos 9 and 10. He said, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword. All the sinners of the Israelites going to die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. See, you evil because you ain't following the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. Therefore, you the sinners of the Most High. Sinners, we find it in 1 John 3 and 4. Sinners is transgression of the law. So all you that sin against the Most High's laws, that's Israelite, you going to die by the sword. Which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. You evil because you ain't doing what he say do. Point blank. Jump up to verse 8. Behold, the eyes of the Most High, which are 10 times brighter than the sun, 10,000 times brighter than the sun. Behold, the eyes of the Most High power are upon the sinful kingdom. His eyes are upon America, first and foremost. And I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, as we've been reading in these prophecies. Saving, he going to save somebody. That I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob. He said he's not going to utterly destroy the house of Jacob, said the Most High. You see? We already read about the 1/3. Here we are. For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel from where? From among all nations. Because we scattered among all nations. He will sift us, the 1/3 from among all nations. Most High will if it's us. Like as corn is sifted in a seed. Yet shall not the least, which is the 1/3, grain fall upon the earth, right? It's still the same sin, the same thing, just in a different way. You know what? I got to speak to us once, twice. Yay, man perceive it not. So we got to speak to us this way, that way. It's the same thing he's saying that we just read in Zechariah, right? That's why when you read Zechariah 13 and 8, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Most High, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. That's what he's talking about. And right here in verse 10, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us, right? But he's talking about, but the third shall be left therein, right? So that's the third we're reading about when he says he's going to destroy America from off the face of the earth, saving the verse 8, I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob. That's the 1/3, said the Most High, of the children of Israel, 12 tribes of Israel. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth, right? Because when he told us, look, go to First Thessalonians 4:16. Why are we not going to fall upon the earth? Because that's what's going to happen with us. For the Most High and the Mashiach himself shall descend from heaven. They're going to come from the fourth dimension with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High. And the dead that have died by Hashem and Mashiach shall rise first. Those that have died in the Mashiach by Hashem and Mashiach shall rise first, right? Then we, which are alive, so it's going to be Israelites that's alive, and remain, shall be caught up together with them, where? In the clouds. So the chariots coming down to get us. Angels coming down to get us, right? And they're going to take us back up in the clouds, right? In the clouds. To meet a Mashiach Yahushai, to the power of the Most High in the air. So we in the air. Most High will. And so shall we ever be with the Most High and the Mashiach Yahushai. Wherefore comfort one another with these words, right? So we up in the air. That's why I say the least shall not what? That's why he said. Going back to Amos. Salaki, I lost my place. Amos 9 and verse 9. For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel. Chariots coming down, angels coming down to get us. Most I will. Among all nations, we scattered among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least, that's the 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel, grain fall upon the earth. So we're not going to be upon the earth. We're going to be up in the air. Say, wherefore comfort one another with these words. As we're in the air, right? For being in the air. That's why he said Isaiah 26 and 20. He told us this. He said, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, just like Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth entered, and their wives entered into the ark. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. He said, we're going to be in the air. Angels coming to get us. Take us up in the air in the clouds. Said, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, the 12 tribes of Israel, 1/3, mind you, and shut thy doors about thee. Just like he shut the ark door, these chariot doors going to be shut. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed, see? Until the indignation be overpassed. For behold, the Most High Mashiach Yahushai and the Mashiach Yahushai cometh out of his place. To what? To punish the inhabitants of the earth. Why? For their iniquity, for their wickedness, their evil, their sins. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Ain't nobody been covered, ain't nobody been buried, he's saying. So now, going to Revelation, talks about it. Revelations 11 and verse 12. Remember what we read in First Thessalonians 4:16, right? So this is going right with it. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither, come on up hither. We up in the clouds. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. Now, we got to deal with them clouds, because y'all might be, some of you might not know, you might be new to this, so we got to define what it means by ascending up in the cloud. Go to Psalms 104 and 3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers, this Psalms 104 and 3. who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, right? So the clouds represent his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, you know? So his chariots are in the wind. So he made the clouds his chariots, of vehicles, right? What they call UFOs. We call them IFOs. They call them unidentified flying objects. We call them identified flying objects. So now that we know the chariots are the clouds, so what's in these chariots? Go to Psalms 68 and 17. The chariots of the Most High are 20,000. The chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. You see that? See? The chariots are thousands of angels just coming to get us. We know how many? 200 million is coming with a Mashiach Yahushai. I don't know how many it's going to take to gather us from all four corners of the earth, but 200 million is coming. So the chariots are the angels. The chariots are the vehicles, what we call the identified flying objects, that they call unidentified flying objects. We know what they are. That's why we sung the song, Sweet Low, Sweet Chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan. What did I see? A band of angels coming for me. Did you see how it fits right along with what we just went over in precepts? We knew. Some of us knew. So, going back to Revelations 11 and 12, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. And their enemies beheld them. Now, you want to know what the enemies are going to say? We just read in Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 2, when salvation coming to Israel. And we read in verse 7, they say, we wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. We've gone through deserts where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Most High and of Mashiach Yahushai, we have not known it. They're going to say that. In the same hour, remember it said, when it said, shut thy doors in Isaiah 26 and 20, until the indignation be overpassed. In the same hour was there a great earthquake. And the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. And the remnant were frightened. The remnant is what? The 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel. Remnant of the 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel were frightened. And the remnant were frightened and gave glory to the Most High power of heaven. Understand this, overstand this. It's on, y'all. It's going to be going on. That's why look at Habakkuk. What time is it? And I'm going to stop right there. We're going to continue tomorrow if you be able to join me. And shoulda wasn't we got next Sabbath class. I'll be starting at 12:30 Pacific time, 1:30 Mountain Time, 2:30 Central Time, and 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can call the number 1605-562-0400, access code 51801, or you can come on the internet. But the internet, I imagine you can probably try the phone because the internet fills up fast. It'd be full. So a lot of times, people trying to come on, they can't get on because the classes be full. So try and come on early. And with that, I'll say all praise to the Most High, Baal Shem Mashiach Yahushai. We're going to continue on these prophecies, and I'm out. Shalom.